Okay, let's go over the optimizer. In a previous video in this interactive tour, I walked through building an automated strategy with NinjaTrader's point-and-click functionality. In this video, we're going to step the S&P through the optimizer. If you remember, when I back-tested that, let me find it here. When I back-tested that strategy on 5 minutes, default 24/7 with a slippage of 1, and I had a stop loss of 20, I had about a negative 1300, well now positive 95 after the next day, overall profit, which isn't very good. And the drawdown is substantial. So one thing that we can do is optimize this. If I click the optimize button up here, I'm going to be presented with a screen a lot like what we saw before, where you backtest, except notice there's semicolons and it shows the defaults and a little number out to the side. This number out to the side is what you're going to increment these numbers by, and these numbers are your range. So if I wanted to optimize my stop loss, let's say I want to find out what the best stop loss is. I currently have it at 20, what I was using in the backtest, but maybe that's not exactly right. So let's go between 1 and 40, and it's going to try every one. If I were to do 5 here, it would start at 5, then it would go to 10, 15, 20, 25, etc. until it got to 40. So basically that's just the increment value. So we're just going to do all that. We're going to do it on the default optimizer. You can optimize on multiple different things here. You could do max average profit. You could do it just for the long side, just for the short side. What I like to do is go for max net profit. And let's just see what we get. Now this is way better than $95. Still not good, but we only optimize the stop loss. So that just shows you one part of what optimization can do. All I did was optimize one parameter. Let's go ahead and optimize more parameters. And we're going to just optimize our slow period and our fast period. And the ADX, let's do something between 25 and 40. And we'll go by 5. Here we're going to go by 7. Let's leave everything else the same, and let's run it again and see what we get. With the default optimizer, it's going to go ahead and try every possible combination of those. And if you look down here in the bottom right hand corner, you can see I've got about 2 minutes left. When you get to a point where you have a ton of parameters, you're going to want to use the other optimizer that we're about to look at. The default is no longer useful. There's faster ways to do this and find maybe not the best exact one, but a close enough best, which is probably as good as you're going to get without spending 6 days optimizing. So this is almost done. We're going to wait about a minute. Might fast forward the video to get done with this. And there we go. Now we have our optimized results, and you can see they're way better. We have 3,300 in total net profit, and our max drawdown has dropped by more than half. Now, if I had a strategy with even more parameters, or let's say, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Actually, let's go to settings and see what results we got here. So it ended up using 40, 7 for the fast period, 28 for the slow period, and a stop loss of 13. So we actually have a lower stop loss for more money, which is a good sign. If we look at the optimizer tab up here, we can see all the results we got. Not all of them, but you can keep a certain amount. That's in this optimize tab here. You can say down here under the optimize, keep best number of results, and you can choose up to 500 if you want. You can have as many as you want to save. And so we can kind of organize this by different things. We can organize it by Sharpe ratio, by performance, by total net profit, all those things. So maybe this strategy would work better not on 5 minutes but on something else. Well, what you can do is you can optimize the actual data series. And here you get this same thing. This is new in NinjaTrader 7. You get this same thing, but you can optimize now the minutes. So I can go between 1 and let's go with 30 minutes, and we're going to go by 1. And let's change all of these to 1, which would actually take a lot longer on the default optimizer. But now they have this new thing called the genetic optimizer. And what the genetic optimizer basically does is it takes just a random sampling of parameters in these ranges here, and it takes those, runs through here. We're going to have a generation size of 25, so it's going to create 25 of those just randomly generated ones, and then at the end of that generation it's going to see which ones perform the best. It's going to use those as the parents for the next generation, and it's going to introduce some randomness. It's a really fast way to find maybe not the best, but a good close result to the best result, and it happens way faster. When I click run this, in the bottom hand corner, if I ran default, it would take about 5, maybe 10 minutes. This is going to take a lot less time than that. It says right now an hour. That's because it's a genetic optimizer. It's going to drop rapidly. With each generation it drops even more. So it looks like it's going to take about an hour, but I'd say it's probably going to take 30 seconds to actually do this. There we have it dropping now. It's down to 20 minutes and 30 seconds. So with each new generation it's going to drop a lot. And there we go, it's done. And let's see, now we have a 5,600 as our overall profit, and our drawdown stayed about the same, so an even bigger improvement. Our stop loss is still less than 20, what we originally had, and our actual minute value, we were pretty close with 5 minutes. It chose the best one to be 6. So now that we have our optimized results, and we can look through all these, and some of them are even more and some are very much less. Look at this, is terrible. But that comes with the genetic optimizer. So now we have our a close to best result. We could run it again, run it a few times, and probably find something closer to a better result. But this is good enough. And we can do the same thing as we can with the backtester. We can look at the chart, see where all the trades were made. We can look at our overall profits. Here, I'm going to make this bigger so you can see it easier. We can see our overall profits, max adverse excursion, max favorable, total profit loss. Everything that you can see with the backtester, you can see for each one of these optimized results, which makes it great for comparison. A thing to note is that when you have a strategy like this, any more parameters than what I have set here, and you introduce the problem of curve fitting. And curve fitting basically says it's when you train your strategy on a whole bunch of historical data and it gets to the best possible thing for that historical data, but it's not actually good for what's coming in the future because it was trained on this data and it looks great there, but if you actually ran this on the market, well, it's tuned, it's so fine-tuned to a previous thing that it's going to perform horribly in most cases on the new data. So in our next video, we're going to talk about the walk forward optimizer, which is pretty much the closest thing you can get to not curve fitting. You could still have the problem, but you use different test data or different training data than test data, and it's always rolling over and always updating to new market conditions. So it's probably the best way to optimize. So if you're interested in learning more about the walk forward optimizer, please click here. Otherwise, click there and go back to the main features of NinjaTrader.